fitness boot camp, and maybe even an American Girl virtual tea party, tea and history, working with the Schwenkfelder Library to see if this can be done virtually. As far as facilities and fields go, all the rentals have been postponed. The trails and the parks, though, are open for walking. Just remember to social distance. All playground structures, courts, fields, bathrooms, pavilions, and other outdoor facilities are still closed. And as far as the pool, the aquatic center, no decision has been made. We're hoping to make one by June 1st. And that'll be in coordination with all the other communities in the area, so we're all on the same page. And it'll be made, of course, with state guidelines, just depending on what zone we're in, and also CDC guidelines, as well as the safety for the staff and our patrons and our residents. Summer camp, unfortunately, that also has been canceled, and this includes the day camp and the specialty camps. But some specialty camps may be able to be offered virtually at a later date. We're still working on that. So not a happy report, but as long as we're still in this red zone, there's not a whole lot of choice that we have. So any questions or anything? Oh, one other thing, I want to recognize Ashley too. Let me find that. I want to recognize Ashley. She won an award. And what's it called? She won, oh, sorry, still looking at the wrong thing here. Here it is. Yes, Ashley won, she received the Outstanding New Professional Award. And she got that, I believe it was from the state. So congratulations to Ashley. That was also on our Facebook page if you want to check that out too and read all about Ashley's award and Ashley's accomplishments and her background. So congratulations. Without her, we'd be in a pickle, I suppose you could say.
No doubt. That's a well-deserved award for sure.
Yes.
She's been doing fantastic work for many years, so that I'm very happy to see that she got that award. And yeah, it's an interesting article on Facebook, so if people are following us, to take a look. She does a great job.
Yeah, one other comment. Again, I think the park board, by buying lunch or dinner
yes,
for the police is a fantastic thing to do. Our police are out there every day. They're on. You don't get any more on the front lines than what those guys are with the first responders and stuff like that. So I thought that was a pretty neat thing for them to do.
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that was a great thing, a great thought for them, and thanks to each one of them. For those who don't know, they're all volunteers, and so they gave that out of the goodness of their heart. We greatly appreciate it. I'm sure chiefs, officers do as well. So, all right, Commissioner Zimmerman, anything else under Park and Rec?
No, I think that's it for right now. Everybody just check the website, and as soon as we know something about the pool, we'll let everybody know.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Public safety. Chief, I'm going to hand the ball off to you because I know you have an update. For those of you who don't know, by the way, I do know that the chief is going to be humble as always, but his officers have been, they have been counselors, they have been officers, they have been problem solvers, and they have carried a great burden since this pandemic, and they have played a number of different roles exceptionally well throughout this, especially with many of us, all of us, I should say, kind of quarantined in our homes and some of the difficulties that come along with that. So Chief, thank you to you and your entire staff for what is a very difficult job helping residents and tempering their concerns. So with that, I'll ask if you could give us an update.
In order to stick with my great report from the last time, I'm going to need about an hour and a half to cover all my issues.
So no, we're talking just about the police.
In April, we actually had our first we issued a neighborhood watch PowerPoint because we're trying to keep in touch with the valued members we have there, and we're open to recruit new members during this time as well. And on the 27th of April, we held our first virtual coffee with a cop via Zoom, which was an interesting event, much like these township meetings are. And I think in the future, we'll actually be able to incorporate that into our regular Coffee with the Cop events because it's a valuable tool. The department continues to update the public weekly on Facebook. I send out a message that maybe 1 or 2 people read. Try to keep people advised of what we're doing and how we're trying to help them out through this ordeal. The PBA, the Hatfield and Commer Fire Companies also had some pizza events that actually went pretty well this past month. And at a time to be determined in this month, we're going to do another one of our parade of emergency vehicles for the hospital care. So I'll make sure I keep everybody up to date on that as well, should they want to be part of that. And last, this is Police Week. I'd like to thank, much like you did, Commissioner Zipfel, the officers on this department for everything they do during this pandemic and every day. That's all I have. Very easy.
All right. Thank you, Chief. And again, fantastic job for the entire force there, and thank them for all the residents, but in particular for the commissioners. They make our job very easy.
Thanks very much.
So Finance Committee, Commissioner Andrus.
Yes, hello. My report's gonna be similar to Commissioner Zimmerman's. So not much good news here, but I'll roll through it. There is one action item for tonight. It's a resolution to approve the application to become eligible for reimbursement from PEMA for the costs associated with COVID-19. So far, the township has spent approximately $14,000 on items such as masks for the police and fire departments and 2 bioblast foggers to disinfect vehicles and buildings. It's our understanding at this point that all of those costs will be reimbursed 100%. So that's the one action item that's added on the agenda under Finance Committee. As was outlined last month, the township has made many spending moves or delayed many spending items in preparation for the expected loss in revenue for 2020 and most likely in 2021. Although we won't know exactly what will look like until the second half of this year, we still feel as though we put the township in a very good position to navigate the uncertainty with regard to COVID-19 revenue resources. And this is a positive note. This one thing for Hatfield is a big benefit. Many communities rely on business privilege tax as one of their primary sources of revenue. Hatfield Township does not have a business privilege tax, and therefore we are in a better position than most local governments right now because of that. Our business community pays real estate taxes while their employees pay $52 per year local service tax for working in our community. Our residents are taxed at a much less rate for real estate taxes, and thanks to a very aggressive Hatfield Township homestead exemption that is we put in place several years ago that's positioned our community very well. It's going to be a very interesting budget season this fall as the township prepares for 21. But as we have shown in the past, this board is willing to make the smart and hard decisions to keep this organization in a healthy financial position, as well as maintaining our parks, roads, and infrastructure. So the only item left, Commissioner Zipfeld, is the motion for the COVID-19 reimbursement of expenses.
All right, so as Resolution 20-12, is there a motion for approval with regard to Resolution 20-12, PEMA reimbursement costs associated with COVID-19?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Leeds. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Rogers. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of Resolution 20-12, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, that resolution passes. All right, Commissioner Andrews, anything else?
That's it, Commissioner Zipfeld.
Okay, we're going to jump right into the manager's report. Aaron, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as always, Chief was being very humble during his update. His Facebook on a weekly basis get hundreds, if not thousands of followers and comments. It's sort of like the fireside chats from FDR back in the Depression era. Chief,
Oh boy.
he's guiding us through this. But no, we all know how great the police department has done. So I'm just simply updating the commissioners and the community on some of our more visible and more interesting projects that we've partaken over the last several years, just to give everyone a status update, because the world has changed a little bit. So I just want to let everybody know where we are on a lot of these projects. So I'm going to share some of the slides, and all the residents that are listening, you can follow along if you just go to hatfield.org and click the PowerPoint slide right on the homepage at the top, highlighted in yellow, and you'll see the same slides that I'll be running through quickly here this evening. All right, so the big one and the most visible one, and arguably the most important public improvement that we've taken on in many years, is Cowpath Orvilla, and we all know that we had to take a pause due to the COVID restrictions, but construction is back on. Unfortunately, we needed a small field change regarding where the soil would be redistributed. And right now we're in the review phase at the Montgomery County Conservation District. We're leaning on our elected officials, in both offices of Representative Malagary and Senator Collette have been extremely helpful in getting us an expedited review. So hopefully we can get that project back moving and still hopefully have it completed by the end of this year. We were hoping early fall, but maybe we can still make it happen in 2020. So that's where we are now. If you drive by Cowpath and you don't see activity, that's why. It has nothing to do with COVID at this point. It has to do with bureaucracy, often a part of, but hopefully soon that will come. The next large project, just as a reminder to the residents listening, in 2016, the commissioners were successful in receiving a grant of $913,000 to synchronize the 11 traffic signals from Clemens Road on 40 Foot to Line Street on Cowpath, the corridor we know as Route 463, the corridor we also know as oftentimes a headache-inducing corridor. That project was also paused because of COVID, and that is resuming any day now. Many of you probably have seen some of the infrastructure that has already been put along that corridor, and ultimately fiber will be running through that entire area, connecting all of the signals. So physically that has been slowed down, but I'm told as of today the work will continue shortly, and we'll probably be in a position where the infrastructure will be done in 2020. And then what will happen in 2021 is we'll have the ability then to control and adjust some of the timing sequences of those traffic signals, as well as we're going to be interviewing some engineering firms that have developed software that they call it adaptive technology. So it's essentially a smarter way to manage traffic. Each signal will have computers that will be designed to make decisions independent of the timing sequence, so it can change throughout the day. It can change based on the volume or lack of volume, which is happening right now due to COVID. So it should be a major improvement for all commuters that use that major corridor in Hatfield. But it's going to take a few steps. We should see some improvement early in 21, and then we'll see even more once we get software operating and really can improve that corridor. So we're looking forward to that, and the commissioners have guided us into this position that we're putting in $1 million public improvement at no expense to the taxpayers of Hatfield. A few other intersections that we're looking at, I just want to remind the residents and the commissioners that have been part of these discussions. Now that we're solving Cowpath Orvilla, what was next? And we talked through in the budget season last year, and President Zipfel has hosted numerous traffic forums over the years so we could get feedback from residents. One of the intersections, actually, before I get to that, one of the intersections that has often been a problem is Orvilla Cowpath, where there aren't any turn lanes. So when someone's turning on that road and you're on Orvilla or Koffel, you have a tendency to get backed up there. So Anton from McMahon has done a preliminary design for this intersection. We're going to be meeting with some of the residents shortly. I didn't want to show the plan yet until we had a chance to talk to the residents there, along with some of the commissioners to talk about it. It does not require any significant right-of-way additions, but very minor in nature, but we'll still have to involve the residents. So we'll be in a position where we can seek some grant funding to improve and install some turn lanes so people would be able to navigate that corridor. The other one that has always been raised over time is the Welsh Orvilla intersection, which we're all familiar with. A lot of limitations there due to a cemetery, a gas station. But we're partnering with Township because we share this intersection and we share this problem. So funding there should be a little easier because there'll be an intermunicipal cooperation, which grant makers always encourage and appreciate. So designs are preliminary, sketch designs are being developed for this intersection as well. And then we'll see what we need to do. And then we'll seek funding as we did for Cowpath and Orvilla. We all know not a quick process for any of this, but certainly worthwhile endeavors. One other item too, and thanks to Commissioner Zimmerman, she's been a great help in this project. Over the years, we've had a lot of issues with trucks coming down the Bergey Road corridor and crossing Cowpath and into that residential area of Bergey where trucks are not allowed, but trucks still go down. And Commissioner Zimmerman lives in that area, and she's given us a lot of insight and perspective on this. And we worked with Anton and Chief to develop a plan, and residents will see this. This should be rolled out within the next month. So as we approach as you approach Cowpath on Bergey, if you look at the bottom and residents, you'll see on your slide, we're going to have some striping there, giving trucks a really early heads up that, hey, you can't go straight there. You got to make a right on Cowpath. And then as you approach the intersection, we're going to have new signage as well as more striping at the intersection. And we're going to choke down the Bergey Road a little bit. The engineers call that a road diet. So you create physical striping that would make it less appealing for a truck. Because ultimately there are kids playing in that section, and the commissioners passed an ordinance banning trucks from that corridor. Chief has done a great job of ticketing and working with our trucking companies. He's met with the trucking leadership, but for whatever reason, trucks are still going down that street. So our next step is to make actual physical improvements that we hope will improve that corridor. So that striping should take place in the next month. One other item that we stumbled on recently was a grant that we're going to be applying for. It's actually through AARP, not that anybody on the board would qualify for any AARP benefit, but AARP, when most grants are actually drying up due to what's happening, AARP just came out with a grant opportunity for governments only and nonprofits. And I have on the slide here just quickly, we're going to submit before, I think it's due Friday. So we're working on that. And we're applying for some of the amenities for Frick's Trail. So one of the things the grant wants to encourage, obviously, given the fact that it's AARP, is intergenerational programming. So what we'd like to do is, since we have this Frick's Trail, there's still some many finishing touches that are needed. So we're going to apply for $50,000, no local match required, although we will give a local match because we have some funding already available for the trail, for benches, for signage, and we're going to try to move forward with what we've discussed a few times with the concept of having a storyboards placed throughout Frick's Trail so grandparents can take their grandkids on a walk through the trail, and as you go, every 100 feet, every 200 feet, there'll be a page of a book on a board that you can read together as a family, and then at the end of the trail, you'll get to the end of the book. We think it'll be a nice feature, and we think AARP will like that. So we're gonna apply for that, and it's a pretty quick turnaround. I think by July we find out if we have any funding for that. So it's just thankfully there was something that popped up. We saw it. We thought it was a creative way to get some additional funding in a time where revenue is going to be really hard to come by. So we're excited to have found that, and I'll let the board know as we go how we do with that, if we're successful or not. So it would just be a nice way to touch up. We're going to do it regardless. We've got some things to do at the trail. It'd be nice to have a funding partner along with several other groups that have contributed toward that trail. So commissioners, that's all I have for tonight. Lot going on. Some of it slowed down, but we're still moving forward with everything.
All right, that sounds great. We're going to jump into the solicitor's report. Kristen.
Nothing to report.
All right, that's always good news when your solicitor says that. Yep, citizens' comments. Aaron, if you could open up the floor.
Yes, sir. All right, all residents, I'm going to unmute all the mics at once. Give me 1 second here. So if anybody would like to speak, please state your name and where you live in Hatfield. Any comments from the residents tonight?
Tina and Bob on Claremont Drive. Once again, just saying thank you to everybody for your hard work, and happy to hear that everybody's healthy and doing well. And just a big thank you again. We can't thank you enough for everything that everybody's doing. So continue to stay well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Two of our best residents by far. We will hopefully get back to some form of normalcy, and so that we can get Tina and Bob volunteering at one or many of the other things that they do for the township. So we're looking forward to getting back to those days. Any other citizens' comments?
Aaron, do you have to unmute Mike's iPhone, or is that him doing that? There you go.
I do have a comment.
I think. Bob,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Vice President Rogers, go ahead.
Before you go, Vice President, I just want to make sure every resident's, no more comments. I'm going to mute all the residents' mics just so we don't have any background noise. And one more. All right, Vice President, floor is yours.
Thank you. This was an issue that I kind of been wrestling with for the last several days. And I think I finally kind of calmed down a little bit and thought about a different approach. So I would like to request that our county commissioners reconsider their position on the distribution of the American flags purchased to honor and memorialize the grave sites of the veterans of Montgomery County, PA. This is an opportunity for the county to work in a positive way with the veterans and other volunteer groups that are deeply committed, rightfully so, to this cause by providing masks, gloves, guidance on safety practices, asking for their commitment to adhere to these practices. Those being honored died, suffered greatly, and put their life on the line to ensure our freedom, liberty, and our way of life. They were the essential workers back then. They were the ones on the front lines. How can we not show them the respect that they so much deserve? I believe there was a statement made, don't let this divide us. It has divided us. By saying no, you are promoting social disobedience. By holding these flags, you will leave them no choice but to do this on their own. There certainly is no way that placing flags in a cemetery can even come close to a trip to Lowe's or Home Depot on a Saturday or Sunday. Please reconsider, and I thank you for your time.
All right, Vice President Rogers, well said. Any other questions or comments?
I don't think that was a forever thing. I think they do intend to do it. They're just, we're saying that they weren't going to do it for Memorial Day.
Yeah, I fully understand what their plan is. And again, I think they need to deliver those flags to those folks. And we need to honor those people that put their life on the line for us. I mean, I can get into the statistics of the 70 people that passed away because of this virus out in the general public, and that the other 375 that died in long-term care facilities. It just doesn't really make any sense to me that we're holding hostage these flags because of 70 people that passed away. I feel for those people. I feel for the people in the homes. It has nothing to do with the people that passed. I just don't believe that being in a cemetery, placing flags on grave sites for those people that put their life down on the line for us is appropriate.
I agree with you, Commissioner Rogers. And having been involved in this since the beginning, I can tell you, for the 2 months this has been going on, I've transported 5 people from private residences who are COVID-19 positive. All the rest have come from nursing homes. Every single one of them, except for those 5, has come from either a nursing home or an assisted care facility. And, you know, I don't think the risk is as great to the public, as we're led to believe, as long as you're maintaining social distancing and you're washing your hands and you're wearing a mask, there's no reason that we can't put flags on these veterans' graves. Just maintain your distancing and wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Don't smoke. Don't eat without washing your hands. I think it's a disgrace that we're not going to, you know, that the county's considering not putting flags on these brave men and women's period.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. With that, I think I mentioned that we had executive session beforehand, so I covered that. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Lees, second by Vice President Rogers. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we thank everybody for attending. For those of you who maybe joined us late, we're anticipating that we might have one more Zoom and then reconvening in person in June. But of course, we'll keep you up to date electronically on our website. So thanks everyone for joining us, and we will hopefully see you soon. Stay safe. Thank you.
Bye.
Aye.
See you later.
Have a good night.